Apparently. Apparently we're live. Apparently a livening is happening. Um, I'm stroking my imaginary beard because I can. Oh, I see my face on YouTube. It's a sexy face. It's a sexy face. Um, let's check if we're on Facebook. I probably am on Facebook. Hi, hey, what's going on? Aha, my brother from another mother, Adil, has given me a heart sign. Hey, brother. Cool. Cool. So this is the behind the scenes thing. I'm making this a regular thing. I promise. Like, you guys don't have to stay for the whole thing because this is going to be like an hour long, maybe less. I don't even know. Like, I do these things on the fly anyway. I've actually prepared for this one, which is crazy. So this is unedited. It is what it is. There might be pauses. I might need to go pee. Someone might like ring on the doorbell, whatever. It's all the unsexy shit. This is what happens here. And I have to put an explicit on this episode after I'm done. And there are a few things happening. I've got Spreaker that's going to just record the entire thing. Then I'm going to edit it. But we have to do the live thing now, which is why you're getting this preamble, because I just want everything to be live. And I'm going to start the episode. Is everything ready? Yes? Now. Oh, yes, it's another episode. It is episode 33. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. It's just taking a long ass time. So, in today's episode, we're going to be covering when knowledge equals death. And I have in brackets pod fade. Because pod fade is a thing. Pod fade is something that my beloved podcast has suffered from, and I'm slowly but surely pulling myself from the tar pit of despair and coming back strong. If you're watching this live, I am not going to explain my getup. I am a complete and utter husk of my former self right now. Fun fact, I fractured my toe, my big toe on my right foot, my right big toe. I fractured my right big toe on, is it Good Friday? I think it's Good Friday. It's Good Friday. I fractured my big right toe on Good Friday. And as a result, I am hobbling around like a hobble thing and feeling a little bit sorry for myself, if I'm honest. But, you know, I had a couple of days off, did the whole Easter thing, even though I don't really do Easter because I'm Jewish-ish. Really big emphasis on the ish. And did nothing. Although I did eat a couple of Easter eggs. That was delicious. And then I regretted it because I haven't eaten sugar for a month. And then I ate it. And then I had a sugar high and then a sugar crash. And I actually felt kind of sick. That's normal. Why am I trying to make it sound like it's not normal? It's very normal. Anyway, I'm getting a bit warm now. So, hey, look. It's a fluffy top. It's a fluffy top of my beanie. Wonderful. So, yes, today's marvelous episode is around when too much knowledge equals death. And I'm not being all scary and sad about the death thing, because I talk about death a lot. I think death should be normalized because it happens to everybody. No one lives forever. Yeah, I've got topics. So if you see me, you know, on the live thing, on the video thing, if you see me looking up, it's because I have this whole freaking Matrix style screen array at home now. It's great. And all my notes. I have notes now. I have notes because a friend told me I should have notes, and I'm like, I don't do notes. I shoot from the hip, and now I have notes like an adult. Oh. So, pod fade is a phrase I picked up from a podcast summit I attended virtually, I think a month ago now. It was a lot. It was a lot of humaning without humaning through my phone, and it absolutely just messed with my head. Like, I recorded all of them. Naughty, I know, but I recorded all of them so I could watch them at a later date. And one of the things I picked up on was this idea of pod fade, and it's going to be a huge phenomenon. It is already a huge phenomenon. Banana. But it's gonna get bigger. They say on average, podcast shows maybe last about 7 episodes and then they die. I have noticed, because I've been a fan of podcasts since I think it must have been Stephen Fry before Tim Ferriss, and he had podgrams, and they were really fun. And that must have been like 2006 or something. And yeah, I noticed that certain people would come and go and come and go and come and go, and that was a thing. But now, like, I noticed with my job, which I'm going to get to in a second, that it would be like 7 months or 10 months, which I suppose, if someone's doing an episode a month, then it makes sense. But if someone's doing an episode a week, then that's kind of like 27 episodes, 28 episodes or something. 5, 6, 7, 8, 28 episodes. Four by 7 is 28. My maths is terrible. And yeah, so that's the average I've been seeing just from now actually being in this professional arena. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because the aspect of knowledge equaling death, I'm pulling way, way, way back into the space of hobbies, right? Exactly. There's people commenting on Facebook, "Hey guys," and you guys are kind of tapping onto what I'm going to kind of like talk about is when you have something you're really, really passionate about, and this can happen before you need to pay bills. It usually does happen before you need to pay bills. You're like, everything about your hobby is so exciting. It's so fresh. It's so magical. It's crazy how much you love like getting into this thing. So for me, I think the first one was dancing. I'm a mover. I love moving. I love wiggling. I love just like music kind of taking over my body and I just shake and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm having a good time. And then that started getting formalized with ballet and tap dance and like contemporary dance. I hate learning contemporary dance. It was just so contrived in comparison to watching family members do like tribal African dancing, which wasn't even anything professional. It's just us having a good time to, rhythms and stuff and being told, no, you have to have your hands here and you have to have position 1, position 2, put the fingers out, extend them, have a slight bend in the elbow, be soft and dainty but strong. I'm just like, bitch, what the like it's stupid, right? But that's the problem, right? So when your hobby starts getting structure, for the most part, that's really, really helpful. But other times, and I found this, when things started getting too structured and too restricted, and I wasn't allowed to go and stretch and feel and touch and be, the magic died. Right. So the more knowledge I got, the more frameworks and all that kind of stuff I got for things, the less into it I was. So with dancing at the beginning, I dropped the contemporary dance. I dropped the ballet mainly because my teacher was an absolute dragon. She was like this old Italian lady with like a bit of a hunchback and a cane. Y'all remember those? This is early 90s. She had a cane. And if you didn't put your position, like your foot position right, she would like smack the back of your legs with a fucking cane. Um, yeah, contemporary dance can do one. And like if you haven't seen my face and if you're listening to this on Thursday, because I'm holding myself accountable, this is coming out on Thursday as well as a sexy edited version of this. If you haven't seen me, I'm black, right? And I got a butt, okay? And I have slight tilting in my pelvis, right? And it's a normal thing. Like most African people, because we've got thick thighs and we've got a butt, like we have a slight tilt, right? I think it tilts forward. My brain is so mushed up this morning. It tilts forward basically. So our butts stick out and our lower backs, we've got slight lordosis of the spine, whatever. But it's normal for us. So my old school, yes, Italian ballet teacher would tell me to straighten up and tuck my butt in. And I'm like, where do you want me to tuck my butt into? Like, sorry, I'm smashing the table. Seriously, there is nowhere for my butt to go. I don't understand what you're expecting me to do. Like, my anatomy is set in a specific way, and I am literally as straight as I possibly can be in position one. Hands are where they need to be. I can't help that my butt has a mind of its own. Okay. And I think I actually said that to her once, and she just slapped the back of my legs again and said, upright. And I'm just like, for fuck's sake. So I persevered with the ballet thing for a while, and then discovered gymnastics, where it's just like, no, let's teach you the basics and then do whatever the hell you want. I was just like, yes, give me the things. And then our gymnastics teacher died. So, you know, that was the thing. And now I just, do my own thing when it comes to movement and stuff. But yeah, so that was my first experience with this idea of loving a phenomenon that is a hobby. And then my parents saw that I loved it, so they put me in the education system for it rather than letting me just freely play music at home and do stupid stuff, which now probably would go viral on Vine and TikTok, if I'm honest, just humble brag. So that was my first experience. And over time, I've always loved music. Always loved music. I know there's a music episode I should be doing at some point, but I can honestly say doing that episode actually terrifies me. I don't know why I do. I don't know why. And I'm not going to like even try and unpack that now because that's probably a 2 hour episode in and of itself. But music. I've always loved music. I've played instruments. I used to say 11, but I think I've pulled that down to 8 just because I haven't played a few of them in a while and I don't think I'm quite good enough anymore. But I play a lot of instruments. I have relative pitch, so you can hum something back at me. I can hum it back and harmonize it and transpose it, up and down or whatever you need. That's a natural talent I have from my biological father, which I confirmed when I met him a few years ago and we spoke about this. He can play fretted instruments. I play fretless instruments. And if you don't know what a fret is, think of guitars where they got the lines and everything, and then think of a cello or a violin where we don't have lines because we're that elite. Yeah. So I'm a musical human being. And music was something I did my whole entire life and, really got stuck into it. And as I went from GCSEs, because I'm educated in the British system of things, from Kenya. We had GCSEs over there. I studied music and, it was a thing. Music theory bores me to tears. I understand it. This is interesting. I understand the rules, but I prefer to kind of push them and break them and go into interesting things. So that's one avenue that hobbies can kind of go into. If you understand and respect the rules that are given to you and understand that they're there for you to have a solid foundation, and then you go off and do your own thing, that's great. And it took my maths teacher, who I don't know, I haven't spoken to Mrs. Andrews in ages. It's weird how you talk about teachers as an adult and you still call them Mr. or Mrs. or whatever you call them at school when you were a kid, even though you're a grown ass adult. And yeah, so Mrs. Andrews was a maths teacher, and she was also a trombonist. So whenever I played in the school orchestra, this is now in England, not in Kenya, I've moved over, I would always sit next to her because we're the bass section, a very weird, tiny orchestra compared to the big 64 piece I used to play back in Kenya. And she would teach me maths and music at the same time whilst I was learning to sight read. I can't sight read music, and I will always be the first one to say I can't sight read music because I have relative pitch. So I'm just like, play the thing to me once, I've got it, that's it, I'm good. I don't need to, like, I'll look at the music for rhythms and then that's it. Like, everything else is not really something I pay attention to. Look, this is turning into a music episode. Anyway, so music kind of turned into a thing that I loved, and it's always something that I have because, yes, there's rules, but also, yes, you can go do your own thing. And then I started looking at, hey, maybe I can turn this into something I do for life, right? You're 17 years old and people start going, what do you want to do with your life? Which I think is stupid, by the way. Trying to tell a being, a human, that you have been mollycoddling for 17 years and telling them to do as you say, not as you do, to follow this, to follow that, to be restricted, and then all of a sudden say, yalla, out. Yeah? it doesn't make sense. It's just like it's rude. It's rude, especially when you ask a 7-year old, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "I want to be an architect." Right? 18 years old. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I want to go travel for a bit. No, 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 no. You have to do something. So it's kind of crazy how when you understand there's more to life, people restrict you. So 17 years old, I'm trying to think of what I want to do with life. I started studying music technology for A levels. So GCSEs. Did I do music GCSEs? I didn't do music GCSE. I was in the music department a lot. Yeah, I did that as a kid. If I liked a place, I'll go and really be friendly with the teachers and help them and see how I could help them as much as possible. And then they'd let me hang out in their department. I did that a lot. Fun stories behind those ones, but I'll leave those for another episode. Again, so music technology, looked into it, I did it, and studying it was fun because it was still here are the rules slash guidelines, learn them, understand them, and now go and break them. And Mr. Long, another music teacher, ex-military, was really, really good at saying, just do this, right? Just do what the syllabus asks you to do, and then do whatever the fuck you want. And I'm just like, yes, let's go. And I think that freedom is really, really important. And that's what you get in schools. That's one of the good things you get in schools if you get a good teacher. But after that, I was like, okay, let's take it to university. And I took it to university. And, I got all this knowledge and everything, but the course just wasn't great because they were still way too restricted. It was just so restricted. It's just you need to turn into a full-on parrot. Other than critical thinking, the module of critical thinking was great. You need to turn into a complete and utter parrot and just paraphrase everything, and then you get your Bachelor of Arts in Creative Music and Technology. And I'm like, no, no, you're killing it for me now. You're killing it for me. So I actually left and just became a sound engineer. I blagged on my CV. Oh, I wrote so much trash on my CV. If any of my old bosses at Brunel University are watching this, hey, I don't know if you guys knew, but my CV was bullshit, but you guys hired me and it was a lot of fun. So thank you. Doing that kind of helped me get to where I am now. But knowing more stuff kind of made my job as a sound engineer pretty crap because it was just there was a lot of restrictions and there wasn't really much that I could kind of expand upon because there was a job that had to be done that would pay my bills. And that was the problem. When my hobby became my job that paid my bills, I wasn't really looking at expanding on a creative level. I just did what needed to get done. So the job got done and bands were heard, DJs were heard, MCs were heard, destroying microphones, helping with the light setup, doing light design as well. That was actually quite fun. All of this stuff, when bills need to get paid, you get really, really restricted. When, you're barely earning enough to eat noodles and just completely drinking way too much Red Bull. But yeah, so that was the second experience, but the first adult experience of knowledge equaling death. When it's more a case of restriction equals death. So with the music thing, I dropped it. Right, I dropped the music tech thing for a while and went off and did security stuff and personal training stuff and life modeling stuff. Getting paid to be naked was fun. And I said this, I think I've said this 3 times now in a couple of other episodes, but if a Instagram influencer model person is talking all about body positivity and everything, I don't really have as much respect for them as I should. I know this is gonna sound like the most pompous thing ever, but I'm ready starting, so I'm gonna finish it. A lot of Instagram modelly influencer types who are all about body positivity. Man, I am gonna ham fist this so badly. They okay, I can get out of this safely. They should do life modeling classes just to really, really feel what it feels like to not be a person and just be an object. Just be a really interesting, fascinating object to an artist. Because that, I think, really breaks down a lot of issues people have. I know for a fact that, like, being able to take your clothes off and being confident and comfortable in front of people is a skill in and of itself. I'm just really thankful that my parents were basically nudists at home. And a couple of family friends were all basically nudists at home and just walk around the house naked. And it was really not an issue, when you're 6 years old. And for me, with my mum, especially when she was alive, like, even up until the last time I went and visited, I would walk around the house naked. Like, I'm like, you have the things that I have the things that you have, like, whatever. And it's hot. It's Atlanta. It's hot. I don't want to wear clothes. Like, if I could go outside naked, I would. But people over there are really terrified of nudity. It's literally as bad as, I don't know, a bad thing. So, going completely off topic here. Life modeling is really, really important, I think. But I did a whole bunch of different jobs. Music took a backseat. Music technology took a backseat. And then, as time went by, I found my curiosity coming back to music technology. So I started studying all the software and getting bits of hardware. My DJing kind of helped keep it going as well. I never have, and probably never will. I've never studied DJing in the sense of gone on a DJ course. I've never done a DJ course. I've never really watched any YouTube videos on how to DJ. Where is it? It's in the back corner. Can you? No, you can't. My freaking microphone's in the way. I read one book when I was 16. Literally, this book is called How to DJ Properly, in brackets. That book, I still have it now. I read that when I was 16, so that's 19 years ago. I read one book and became a DJ. That was it. Didn't need anything else. And I didn't want any more influence over me beyond the basics. And that book just gives you the basics of how to DJ. It's beautiful. And now everyone's got this and that and this and that, and learn how to, I don't know, twiddle your fingers with an ostrich feather whilst twerking for the Instagram. Like, I don't care about any of that. Like, how do I make music sound good? And then I will read the crowd and then make them shake their butts with an ostrich feather if they want. I don't care. So I kept on doing that. DJing kept me on the straight and narrow. And after that, I managed somehow to make a business out of using my audio skills that I spent the last 18 years just tinkering away for my own curiosity, listening to quality of things, being like, how do I make that quality of thing? Stephen Fry again. Stephen Fry has a lot of influence on my life, I'm realizing. Stephen Fry, Tim Ferriss, and Seth Godin. Stephen Fry mainly. But his audio quality has always been amazing, so I've always wanted to emulate that. And as a result, literally one friend posted in one entrepreneurial group wanting his audio files to be turned into an audiobook. This was I've said this before, this was in Christmas 2018, so December 2018. He posts, and I'm just like, the fuck? This is it. Like, give me the files. Just give me the files. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, literally, I didn't understand what was going on, and that this was an industry that existed. And we're good friends, and he was like, okay, cool, here, have the things. And I did it, and I went and did the research. I'm like, what the hell, this is a thing. And I edited it, understood all the Greek that they were asking people to do, and we did it. And he's just like, okay, make it a job. And I'm like, okay, well, make it a business, not even make it a job, make it a business. And that's what's happened. Like 2021, the pandemic was the best thing to have ever have happened to my business. But, I now edit audiobooks and podcasts. Hi. Just off the back of me kind of ebbing and flowing with a hobby of mine that tried to get too restricted and was essentially, almost dead. But I kept it on a life support system by way of DJing. And then all of a sudden, boop, someone comes in and they're just like, hey, I need audio skills. I have those. Do the thing. Okay, great. Make it a business. Okay. And it's interesting how that happens, and I don't think people talk about it enough. That just finding your passion and it's the Disney story finish. That's bullshit. Disney story finishes don't happen. I've just realized I am so annoyed with myself. I swear to God, I'm gonna hit myself over the head. I didn't hit record in Spreaker. Oy vey. Like, I am so glad I'm recording this through StreamYard, and I record over an Ethernet connection because at least the audio there is going to be decent, and it's also on YouTube, so the audio should be decent on there. Yeah, I'm a sound engineer. I'm a professional, but I don't even look at the big ass start button right in Spreaker. That's not actually said start. I think I'm just gonna hit it. No, I'm not gonna hit it now. Fuck it. I've done the thing. That this is the way it's gonna. This is gonna be so interesting. All right. Anyway, I've completely detracted myself. Notes. Look at the notes. So it's an ebb and flow, and the Disney happily ever after idea is bullshit. And I think it's really important that people realize that with a lot of things, like, I don't know why it takes all of us up into the age of freaking mid 30s or 40s or even 50s sometimes, that happily ever after doesn't exist, because we all grow, we all change, circumstances change, whether you have a family and a mortgage or you're a free riding nomad, it doesn't matter. Like, we're humans. If our bodies change every 7 years, like on a cellular level, they change every 7 years and we're a new person, then our minds are going to do the same thing as well. As a result, anything that we're skilled in is going to modify and change and adapt and grow, whether we have frameworks or not. And I think that goes into like your brain type. If you're neurotypical or neurodivergent, I'm neurodivergent. I have a squirrel brain. If you haven't noticed the way all of this goes, this entire episode has gone. If you've not noticed how many different tangents my brain has gone, and I keep on trying to pull it back in, try herding squirrels. So I've done it again. So yeah, you've got this change. We all change. We flow. We grow. We go back. We regress. We progress. And hi, Lizzie. And from that, it's really important to accept that change happens. So with the music thing, it's changed from musicianship and everything into engineering. And I mentioned right at the beginning, there was this pod fade thing, right? And I didn't know it was a thing. I just thought, oh, I'll just take a rest and, it'll be cool and it'll be chill. But no, it's an actual thing where the message people have or the drive that people have initially dies off and they haven't prepared for it. And remember, when I started this podcast, I started it just because I needed somewhere to offload my mental journey of dealing with my mother's suicide, right? And I just needed to offload that and kind of ride the grief wave and the subsequent issues and ideas and thoughts that would come up from it. And, the pandemic coming in obviously brought another aspect of WTF. What the fuck, Reese? And I had to pause. I had to stop for a while just because I didn't know what was going on with myself. And I needed to kind of figure out myself before I could start talking again. And I'm coming out of that, I think. I think the grief is still there and it's still intertwining itself in various ways. But ultimately, yeah, pace is a thing, flow is a thing, ebb and flow, peaks and troughs are a thing. And no one talks about that. So pod fade comes in. And the reason why it came in as well, which is something to do with my job, is the more I understood about modern day podcasting. And I say modern day because 2006 wasn't recent. Even though 2006 for me feels like yesterday, because 2006 had a great year of music. Like French Filter House, Justice came out, was it LCD Sound System, MIA was doing her thing, Boys Noise, just like 2006 for me was great on the DJing side of things, but it also feels like yesterday. But that's when I first started listening to podcasts and podgrams, and it just sounded like a spin-off for radio shows that's what it was for me initially. It's just like, oh, it's just something that like us geeky types do, and we get in, we do the thing, and then, you know, we don't have to pay the stupid licensing fees that you need to be able to cast on radio. And at the time, like what I'm doing now would have cost thousands of pounds, rather than it costing me maybe, I don't know. This is all subsidized by other clients, and I've created a network and everything. So, oh, my auntie, hey auntie. Um, so yeah, so from then to now, I didn't really respect podcasts, is what I'm trying to say. And it's now part of my business. I really didn't want to bother with podcasts. I'll put my hands up right now. Like, people like, oh, do you do podcast management? I'm like, no, absolutely not. I do audiobooks. That's all I do. I'm only interested in audiobooks because I can do it in my time. I don't have to do a schedule. My squirrel brain can have fun, just go away. But with enough people, with enough people asking me, like, another part of my brain is just like, why do you hate helping people? Look, these people need your help and you don't want to help them. Is that the very core of your name, the very core meaning of your name? You are going against your namesake. I'm starting to sound African now. I'm not telling you what my name actually means because it makes me cringe every time I explain it. I think I did on another episode. But yeah, people like, help, help, help. But I'm like, no, 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 I only do this thing, go away. And then I was just like, okay, fine, let me help you. So I did. I started looking into the industry, started understanding what was going on, and respecting, the fact that this is a thing. There's some people, some individuals who are like myself, who are just enthusiastic about talking. I don't think everyone can do a monologue thing. I don't think people should do a monologue thing. I think being able to bounce off someone is really, really important. Why is my voice going funny all of a sudden? Whee. Okay, good. So doing a monologue probably isn't good for everyone. Having someone to bounce off of, a duo, is good. Interviewing is great. Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan do interviews. Jocko Willink has Echo Charles to bounce off of, but Jocko Willink kind of does a monologue in a way because he reads books and then talks about books. And who else do I listen to? Seth Godin does group things sometimes, and sometimes he just talks on his own. Jordan Peterson does dissect ideas on a monologue level, but he does more interviews now. I think the longevity over time is talking to other brains, get other brains in. So yeah, so another death area for me was the more and more and more I read about podcasting, the more and more I hated it, because a lot of people in the podcasting space are marketers. And I have minimal interest. I understand marketing. Obviously, I do it. I mean, this is technically marketing in some way, shape, or form because you like me as a person, so I'm doing branding marketing really well. Um, and you know, as a sound engineer, I'm just sat here going, well, I'm just gonna go back into my little technical hovel, and I'm not gonna bother with this space because I'm now gonna put myself into a cage full of fucking peacocks when I am, I don't know, a jaybird. Wait, no, a magpie. Magpies are technical, crafty little things. So I'm a magpie in a cage full of peacocks, and I have no interest in being in there because I know what I do, I know how I help people, and it's a long burner, right? It's a long, slow burner if you want to do something that really helps people. And that's where I come from. I'm always like, what are you doing? Is it going to help people? If you die tomorrow, would your backlog of stuff help people? That's why my podcast exists. But so I'm slightly jaded. I'm still slightly jaded now, but I still help people. And that aspect, that knowledge, that understanding, the jaded aspect actually had an effect on my podcast because I'm like, I don't really want to kind of go through the jumping hoops of people being like, become a iTunes #1 bestseller like at the start of your launch and do this and do that. And I'm just like, it sounds like the fitness industry where people are like, lose 50 kilos in 2 weeks by drinking poop tea, right? And that's what they are, by the way. If you guys drink is it boo tea? It sounds like poo tea. If you drink any of those weird teas that help you lose weight, or you take any of those pills that help you lose weight, they're basically a laxative. And then the other ones like are fat binders, so they bind to the fat that's in your food, and you just end up pooping fat. Like, it's gross. Stop it. Stop it. Look after yourself. Stop damaging your body. And I have the same energy when it comes to people with the whole get rich quick thing in the podcasting world. Switching gears into happiness. So I saw all of that, and I felt, that kind of anger that I had. I felt that. Look at my arm. Like, my whole position has changed. Okay. So, I have changing the sheen and disliking the lick of paint written in my notes, which is very, very apt. So, woosah, we're gonna calm down. Shiggy, calm down. It's not that bad. No one's out to get you. If there's any podcast marketers listening to this and you're about to slide into my DMs, don't do it. I will get very, very angry with you. Okay. So all of that caused, again, more knowledge caused me to kind of just fade away from like, am I really doing this? Do I really want to do podcast management? Is this really a good idea? And I had to, putting in a line here, use this discovery of pod fade and use the discovery of these technical aspects to try and spin it around into what I do and what I want to do. And also with my podcast, with this show, how to kind of keep this show going, because there are things that need to be said. There's a big ass journey that's coming, and I want you guys to come with me. Okay, I'm going back home. All right, I know my auntie's watching this. I'm coming back to the farm. You're gonna have to deal with me for a while. So there's a big, big, big thing on the back end of my show, because I want to help more people, and I want to show people a journey. I want people to see that, Kenya's an amazing place. And all the amazing things that like we do there is happening, and you should come and join. Little tag there. So yeah, putting in information and actually just spinning it, taking that taking that framework and spinning it into good is really, really important. And that's the kind of, I suppose, interwoven story that is kind of coming out of this, is that when you have frameworks, allow them to set a foundation, but don't allow them to control you completely, because we all can interpret and create something great from things. Rules aren't really rules. I mean, except for when it comes to like killing and hurting other people. But when it comes to like expression, even in business worlds, right? Because, that's the thing. You can start manipulating things in your own way. Like I've created a business out of sitting on, you can see just a bit, that sofa. I was sat on that sofa with my older laptop, which has now died, editing things with a fraction of the software and stuff that I have now. And if I had have gone out and asked people how to do things, they would have said it a billion different ways, and I would have gotten kind of frustrated and scared, and I probably would still be, I don't know, at the tail end of a bad business partnership and jumping into another one. So yeah, with all of this, I'm going to take out the business aspect and bring it back into a personal side of things. Whenever you see stuff and you get knowledge, it's really, really important to understand that the knowledge is there. If you don't want the knowledge at the time and you just want to bumble about and do stuff with, I don't know, say, let's pick something random. What random activities do I have on the shelf? Crochet. Okay. Yeah, crocheting, right? Say you find your grandmother's crochet needle, and you know it's a crochet needle. You saw her doing things, but you don't quite understand what's going on. Maybe you watch one YouTube video on how to do a basic crochet like pattern, like how to hold the crochet needle, how to hold the yarn, how to be able to change the tension. I do crochet, and this is actually what I've done, and I refuse to do anymore. So you learn how to do a single crochet, maybe learn how to do a double crochet, and then you just learn how to make a square, right? And then you sew the square together, and then you have a nice little hand like warmer thing made out of merino wool, because that's what you randomly have lying around. And then stay with that. That's it. You're just like, cool. I learned how to do a crochet thing. I find it quite meditative, and I don't want to formally add anything to this. This is my thing. That is my hobby, and it's fun. And then over time, it might be, 10 months, or it might be 10 years, that skill set becomes something a little bit more involved. right? And it never has to become a full-on permanent thing. But if you do get more rules, if you do get more courses, don't get overwhelmed by the rules. You can still always take a step back and go back to just kind of enjoying an experience for what it is. Just an experience. I just find everyone trying to monetize everything all the time is arduous, and people need to just stop sometimes and pause and just take activities for what they are. Fun ways to just switch off and be human, because we're forgetting that a lot. Lockdown is affecting me. If you're wondering why I sound a lot different now from, like, 10 episodes ago, yeah, 10 episodes ago, lockdown's affected me, and this stupid fractured toe is really annoying me, because in England, by the time this comes out, which is Thursday, everything's about to open up. Not open up, but like gyms and bouldering centers and socially distanced Brazilian jiu-jitsu are all a thing, and I have to wait 4 weeks, and I'm annoyed. But there's a reason for it, of course. So one question in the Book of Faces, and then I'm going to wrap this up for 45 minutes because I think that's a nice wrap up time. And then actually panic. I'm going to panic after this because I haven't recorded in Spreaker. But it's on YouTube and it's on Facebook forever. So, yay. Seasons are good. Just in case anyone is wondering, launching things out as a season, I'm actually doing that with a couple of clients now, is a really good idea. This style of just perpetual week by week, or in the case of Joe Rogan, every day things, that level of intensity might not be for you, and you might not have the space and time to do it. So doing seasons, I encourage a lot of people to do seasons, because if you're recording or releasing once a week and you spend 3 days or you spend a week recording anywhere from 8 to 16 episodes, you have 4, 8, 12, 16. If you did 16 episodes, that's like 4 months of work that you've got. And you can cut that down into 2 seasons, right? And all you have to do is just make sure your scheduling and everything is on point. I'm not going to turn this into like a marketing advice or podcast marketing advice thing, even though I know I do podcast marketing, even though I hate it. But still, that's besides the point. Shh, 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 shh. Pedantic people. I can see you wiggling in the back. Seasons are great because a lot of people are part of the Netflix binge nation. So being able to just like binge through things is good. Other people are not. Other people like the kind of every Tuesday or every Thursday at X time, you get the thing. So you can drip feed your season or just put it all out at the same time. Really doesn't matter. So, yeah, that's all I have to say in this episode. I'm freaking out. I'm not going to lie. I'm freaking out like at how the audio quality of this is going to be, because if you didn't know, I'm a stickler for good audio quality. And this isn't being recorded locally because I, like an absolute freaking ferret, forgot to hit the big red. It's such a big red start button. You don't understand. I forgot to hit that. So wherever you are, if you're listening to this after it's been sexified in whatever way, shape, or form that's going to look like on Thursday, thank you. For the guys who are on Facebook, I see you all. Thank you for like popping in the comments and engaging. I'm going to engage more now once this becomes a regular schedule. And to the folks on YouTube, thank you as well. If you need to find me anywhere, I'm on Instagram as Shig. I'm on TikTok as The Shig, because someone stole my name. I'm on Twitter as Shig. I'm on Facebook as Shigamus, or just look for Shiggy Pactor. Like, if there's other people, tell me. My assassins are clearly doing a bad job. I'm not going to mention my website because that's still a hot mess. I'll probably fix it at some point, but I have to go work with a whole bunch of stuff for my clients now. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for chiming in now, in the future, wherever. If you've got any topics you want me to talk about, I am more than happy and willing to talk about them. I have a backlog of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think I wrote one on the whiteboard, 7 episodes. But yeah, after that, open season. So until either Thursday, or if you're listening to this on Thursday, until next Thursday, love your faces. Okay, bye.